Okay.
Hello, welcome to
Yeah.
nothingcast.
Yes.
Patrick had an
We're
idea
back
for a topic, so
because
hit him.
because
Hit
yeah, I
him.
liked. Okay, because I watched Superman and I really liked it. I
Yeah,
watched it pretty recently, so I'm way behind the curve. Watched every single YouTube video about it or whatever. So here's one more. You're welcome,
you're
world.
welcome.
So, uh, but yeah, I had this thought about the fact that I feel like there's a lot of criticisms that are being leveled against the movie that just don't work if you think about
Mm.
like classic movies and like what movies are, just in terms of like, oh, there's like all these characters and we don't know anything about them, and it's like, well, have you seen a movie before? Like, stop thinking about this as like a comic book movie
Right.
for 1 second. Think about it as like just a movie on its own.
Hmm.
It's like any other movie, like any
Right.
other classic movie. Honestly, I think this movie could be considered a classic movie if it didn't have, to its own detriment, there are up to 90 years of history for
Right.
some of these characters and we can only explore them for like 2 hours
Hmm.
and so of course there's going to be things left out, there's going to be missing pieces and that kind of thing.
Yeah, and
And like
and
I
because and because you, the audience, know that there's
yeah,
like history to all these characters that you're not
yeah,
necessarily getting all of in the movie, then that like
yeah,
you start to think about that kind of thing. But if it was
mhm,
like its
yeah, and
own movie that just existed as
yeah,
itself,
yeah.
that wouldn't be a
My
thing. You just be like, wow, this is a crazy world with a lot of weird characters.
Yeah, and I think that my thought is that I it's to that as well, but also
Mm,
I don't know if there's a cultural like desire for more knowledge about things because of like TV shows where you get these longer stories where
hmm.
you find out every single thing about every single character because the
Yeah,
writers have to keep coming up with episode topics, and so they have to do a flashback
you have to do a
episode
flash
for
for
every
every single
single
character.
major character,
Yeah.
and like, you have to like you go really really in depth with these things, but it's like that's not what movies are like. And I
Hmm.
think I think this desire for more lore about things, like the topic I pitched was like,
Yeah.
is our culture too
Yes.
lore
I was just
obsessed?
looking up your quote
I
because.
blame George Lucas. I blame
Ooh,
George
that's
Lucas
a good.
because
That's a good pull.
the original Star Wars trilogy
Yeah, it just starts.
it's just a trilogy. It's
Yeah,
fine on its own. You don't
and
need like you can just watch it without watching the prequels, and you
mhm,
know everything that you need to know to understand those movies. But because he took it a step further and he peeled back that curtain and gave us all this history about these characters,
mhm,
the people who are very interested in Star Wars become way more interested
in
in
that.
that. Like they like the prequels a lot because it's not just because of like, the cool lightsaber fights or whatever, but it's like
Mhm.
it's almost like if Star Wars, like if you looked at the whole history as like an entire history of that universe, though, like the prequels are the most pivotal points in that history. Like it's the most
Right. Oh yeah,
interesting.
yeah. Because that's when the entire like government collapses and this like major
Yeah.
religion gets
Yeah.
genocided,
Yeah, right. And so people are
and like all this
viewing
crazy
people
stuff
aren't
happens.
viewing they aren't viewing Star Wars as movies. These hardcore fans, I'm starting to realize they're starting to view them more like history
Oh
documentaries,
yeah,
and like
yeah. I was
for
talking
this
to
massive world, you know,
yeah, I was talking
that
to
exists outside of our own.
I was talking to our friend Katie about
Yeah,
Star Wars, and she had a conversation with one of her coworkers about, I think it was
yeah,
like the Boba Fett show or something, and like
right.
they were saying like, well, it might not be the best show ever, but I still enjoy it because like every new Star Wars show we get to learn more about the world and the history and the characters and stuff.
Right.
And I'm like, that's
Yes.
and my thought to that was like, that's the dumbest shit I've ever heard, because that's like saying every movie is automatically good because I haven't seen it before. And I'm like,
Yeah. No, but that's the thing,
like,
is I think that's what pushes me away from Star Wars,
yeah,
but also draws so many people in, is that there is so much lore around it,
right.
and that's how George intended it to be, and everyone else just wanted to be a good movie. So that's why the original trilogy is the way it is,
Right.
because they had this team of people who were like, let's just make
Yeah,
this a
that's
good
true.
movie.
There was a lot of
And
stuff
like,
about like the
because
wills
George isn't a
and the
director.
and
He's not an actor's director. He
no,
said
he's
that before. He's like, I
yeah,
don't like directing. And the
yeah.
actors are like, yeah, he does it. Like,
Yeah, you
we
could
don't know what
tell.
we were doing, you know?
Yeah, like there was a lot of stuff that was cut out about like the wills and the force, and Han Solo was going to be a fish man and all this like weird stuff that they like had to
Yeah.
cut down on. to make it more, which ended up making it a little bit more accessible to modern audiences, which
Yeah,
is like why
yeah.
it's good.
No, and that's the thing is that like usually you'd have like, and then like most like science fiction things or whatever,
Mhm.
it'll be like they'll be like, let's say there's this movie where they're in a spaceship and they're driving through, they hit like space turbulence, and the
Right.
characters will say like, oh, it's a global warp field,
Right.
and then you just know, the viewer, oh, that just means space turbulence.
Right. It's just
But
a
then Star Wars people will go and publish a book about
right.
global warp
What that
field and
is.
what that means and what it's caused
Yeah.
by and the history, and it's like in most other fantasy things, it's just a thing and it just is there. But then you get like, maybe the Silmarillion is
Yeah,
just
could you go
partially
back?
blamed
Could
for
you
this as
could you
well.
blame Tolkien for this as well?
Because
Because
Tolkien, like,
because
it's
he
just
did
like,
that same thing where he wrote like a few books, but then he was like, but the history of this world is actually, let me tell you the lineage of the kings of men, and
I guess blame makes it sound like this is a bad thing. I guess
Right.
it's more just like what your taste is, right? And
Yeah.
I think for me, it's like my taste is more just like I like watching something and enjoying it. Less is more for me. Like I don't even have an interest in watching the extended editions of Lord of the Rings, because it's like, why would I want to watch a more bloated version of a movie, that's
that I
a
think
very
is perfect.
tight story at 3 hours
Mhm.
uses that very well. Like there's not a scene to spare in those 3 hours, and so you're telling me there's somehow more that goes
Right.
into this? Like I can barely like pay attention for that time frame. I don't know
Yeah.
if
Well,
that's
those
just me and I suck. But
those don't bother me too much because they're not even
Yeah.
called like the director's cut or anything. They're specifically the extended edition, where it's like
yeah,
we filmed more and we like it, but we know it's probably too much. But if you really want to watch more, you can, and I think that's fun when it's
yeah,
framed in that way. Where
yeah. Because even
you know.
even with like with Superman, like I feel like there's things where I try to like I'm trying to think critically as well, because it's like I know a lot about the character and like the world. Like we've seen all of Smallville and like most of the other Superman
movies and
mediums,
yes.
and some of the cartoons, and like I haven't read too many comics, but like I know I feel like I know enough, that like I know about the whole like Krypton thing and like what his powers are and where he gets them from. But like I was thinking about it, I'm like, oh, this movie's actually like it's covering all of that. Like
Yeah,
it drops you in, but it's still
it goes
like,
into all, like it still
it goes
explains
into
all
it,
that.
and it explains it through the action as opposed to like
Yes.
stopping and
Yeah.
and
Yeah, because
I wonder. I also was thinking, I'm like, I'm wondering if this
pretty
like
tight.
this is too. Yeah, I was thinking like, is this too clunky? And I'm like, no, like this needs to work for people who have never seen a movie like a Superman movie before. Like maybe there are kids who this is the first like their first exposure to this character. They need to kind of know his origins. We don't need to see Krypton get destroyed, but we know that it did, and we know that he's an alien because he can do things that people can't. There's regular people there too. It's not just all superheroes. Like there's a contrast between the heroes and the regular people, and like it's just like it's the way that, and it's not like, are there too many heroes? It's like, well, like in a like in a movie like Heat, there's more than one police officer. Like it's just like it's not like, and they're all unique characters that have their own traits, and they all do different things. They operate for the same goal, but in different ways because they have different personalities. Like and so it's like as soon as you like, my thing fell. As soon as you like start to like level any criticism against this movie, against any other classic movie, it falls apart. Is my main thing.
It reminded me a lot of Sky High, and I mean this in a complimentary way. Just
that's a great movie.
in terms of like vibes and just like we're just dropping you into a superhero world. We're not gonna spend time explaining the origins of all the superheroes. There just is a bunch of them. And
it's like and they kind of explain that it's like they kind of get the powers genetically, is kind of what it seems.
Yeah, like in Sky, and like they reference
is there
like
a power gene.
Who
cares?
Like they reference,
it really doesn't matter.
In Sky High they reference like, oh, sometimes people get like dunked in a vat of toxic waste or they get bit by a radioactive spider, but like sometimes you just get it from your heritage, and we don't know how long back that's been going, at least a couple generations, but it doesn't really matter for the story, because the story's about the characters, and they all have different fun powers, and you don't need to
Yeah.
know where each of them got their powers. They just have them, and that's
No, it doesn't.
fine.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing. Is that it's because it's like movies are stories; they're not textbooks. Like, and so I think that we want our movies to be more like textbooks. Then go read books.
Go
Like,
go read a
that's
book
my-
then. Go read a book, you
But
nerd.
I was wondering too about because the whole movie works start to finish.
Yeah.
You don't need any extra information. I got to I got to the theater a few minutes late, and so I got there after the text at the beginning. I didn't know there was text at the beginning
Oh
of
yeah.
the movie.
And
I
okay.
wasn't lost. I wasn't
You were
lost at
fine.
all.
What? You were
And
fine?
so my theory is that that's how it was originally, and there was too much confusion.
There was a
in
little bit
screenings for
pushback.
People couldn't just deal with being dropped into a movie, and so they put it at the beginning. Because how easy would that be in the edit to just drop that in the beginning after doing test screenings?
Yeah. I've also
if you already have
heard-
the shots.
Oh,
and
yeah.
everything.
I've heard a few things
It
about
feels
it.
like a test screening revision.
Okay, so do you know what the text said? Have you looked up?
I know from
The gist of it?
from people's reviews.
Right.
I haven't looked it up, but it's
Yeah.
just like
It's kinda
there's-
fun.
but I know everything.
Right.
Because I watched the movie. I
Yeah.
know everything it said.
Yeah.
I got all the info.
There's a
from
little
watching
bit of
the
like
movie.
there's a little bit of like a poetry to how it like repeats information because it's like it starts at I think it's like 300 years ago the first metahuman was discovered,
Mhm.
and then like 30 years ago Kal-El's spaceship crashed. 3 years ago he revealed himself as Superman. Three days ago the conflict in whatever started, and then like
Oh, yeah.
3 hours ago Superman lost his first battle with the big guy who turns out to be Ultraman, and
Yes.
it's like, all right, I guess I'm caught up now on everything that happened
Yeah.
last issue of the comic that I
Yeah.
didn't that I
Yeah.
haven't been reading, which is the other thing that I
Yeah.
thought was interesting is that it felt
Mhm.
and this is when I started thinking about your prompt, and this is something that I was wondering about your thoughts on, is that when we grew up reading comics and stuff,
Mhm.
I got really into like our dad's collection of comics, and he just
Yes.
had like a bunch of issues of random stuff from when he was a kid that was like basically just like, I assume, hey, this cover looks interesting, I'm gonna buy it.
Right.
And
That's
so-
how anyone buys comics,
yeah,
right? Like,
yeah, especially as a kid. And so like I grew up reading just like random issues of Superman and Spider-Man and whatever he had, and
Mhm.
not knowing the full context of like where that story took place or whatever. And some
Oh,
of
yeah.
and some of it is like 70s Silver Age type stuff. So some of it was like single issue, here's the story,
Oh, yeah.
and then it ends.
Yeah.
But then some of
pretty
it's like
wacky,
part
self-contained
part
stuff.
2 of 5, and he doesn't have any of the
Yeah.
other parts, and I'm like, oh well, I like the cover, so I'll read it, and I get like part of a story, and I don't have the context for anything, but whatever, moving on. And I was thinking that this led me to think that here's part of my theory of why I think culture may be more like lore obsessed is because of streaming. Because TV shows used to be the same way, as like you would turn on TV and you would watch an episode of whatever was on, and maybe it was a
Right.
show that you had been following, or maybe not, and you would just have to piece together what was happening based on the context of that episode. And a lot of sitcoms and
Right.
stuff are pretty, episodic anyways.
You don't. No. Yeah. You don't need to watch.
So you don't
what's
need to
come
watch-
before to understand. Yeah.
Yeah, the previous stuff before. But, shows did become more and more serialized, and there were shows that did have longer arcs and stuff. But a lot of the time, you would just turn on a show anyways and be like, well, I guess I'll just... Hopefully the previously on will give me enough context for what's happening, and
Yeah.
I'll figure it out through context clues and like the way the characters talk to each other, and I'll just do my best. And if I don't know, if they reference something that I don't know, or they mention a character I haven't met, that's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, it was just kind of like, it was like
Yeah.
keep up. Like, it was
Yeah.
just like,
Yeah, it's like,
there's
oh, wow.
previously on,
Yeah.
there wasn't, that's the, with the streaming shows, there's no more like previously on, because it's like, you were just
you
there.
saw the previously on. You don't need to.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm wondering if that's part of it. Is like, well, now when you start even an old show that could be like a sitcom or whatever, you start with episode
Yeah.
one. You don't watch like whatever episode you happen to
Oh,
be able to
right.
catch up. So like, even if you're like, oh,
Yeah,
I'm gonna
even
go
if
watch
it's
Friends, a show that I wasn't like, I was barely conscious when the last couple seasons were on. But I'm gonna watch Friends now, so I should start from episode one. So now I have the whole
yeah.
context of Ross and Rachel's entire relationship, even though like
Yes.
per individual episode, it doesn't really matter. You'll find out if they're
No,
together or
no,
not based on the
they'll
episode.
also explain, like they'll bring up to speed on like what you need to know for
Yeah, for that
that
specific
episode.
story.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if that's part of it too. Is that like most other stuff, like nowadays that we watch, even if it's an older thing, you'll well, I gotta start from episode one because that's where it started.
Yeah.
And so like Superman's like, nah, this is episode like 8. We're not showing you the first 7. Don't worry about it. Fuck
Yeah.
you. You'll catch up. People are like, but wait a minute, who's this
Yeah.
guy?
No,
I don't know who
yeah,
that guy
but
is.
I think it was the right choice though, given
Yeah, oh, yeah.
how many like origin movies there are, and how like, it's like we kind of it's like if you start with like them already being established, there's so much you can do with that. Like if you want Superman's origin at nauseum, just watch Smallville. Like that already exists, and so it's like
if you want 10 seasons of,
I think
but how
just,
did he
like,
become
yeah.
Superman? You could do
and
that.
also Man of Steel as well. I think that movie's kind
Mhm.
of been brought back into the conversation because it's obviously the last kind of
Mhm.
live action big screen adaptation. I know there's Tyler Hoechlin. Is
Yeah.
that how you say his last name or whatever?
Probably.
Like all. Yeah, I haven't seen any of that show like in
Mhm.
length, but any clips that show up on my like YouTube feed online, they're always incredible. Like I'm like, this is
Yeah,
like some peak
it's-
Superman stuff going on.
it's really
here.
good.
Like it seems like a really
Yeah.
it seems like a really good show.
Yeah, you would
So
like it for
I-
sure.
I-
It's got a
yeah,
lot
I
of
feel like
vibes
I
of
would-
Smallville for sure.
Yeah, and so it's like, but
It's-
like as far as like, I think it's like you have to compare that to, you can't really compare TV to movies. Like they're just
Yeah,
totally
it's-
different ball games,
Mhm.
even if it's the same character. And so it's like, oh, the last kind of big screen adaptation of this was Henry Cavill, and so of course Man of Steel's kind of resurfaced into the conversation a lot. And like,
For sure.
I don't like. Do you think there's anything in this movie that's like a direct like? Here's my thought process. I don't think there's anything in this movie that's a direct response to criticisms of Man of Steel. I think just by staying true to the character, it acts like a response, because Man of Steel
That's a
tried
good
so
way of
hard to do
phrasing
something
it.
different.
Yes,
Yeah.
I
'Cause
agree
it's like,
to that.
There's like
Because
there's
like
the bit where
obviously
he blocks the fire and he looks back. Is everyone okay? It's like,
yeah.
that's just a Superman thing
Yes,
to do.
exactly.
It's not a response. It's
Yeah,
not necessarily
it
a
feels
response. to
that's a
Man of
very good
Steel.
point. Yeah, because there's a
Yeah.
ton of scenes of him like specifically trying to save people from destruction. There's a whole scene
Yeah.
where he's trying to lift the building from falling over while
That
people are
scene
still
is so
driving away.
cool,
It's
honestly.
great.
It's
And-
so good. It's so
yeah,
good, and
and-
it does the thing that Snyder likes as well, where it's like you have this more like godlike imagery for the character, but it's so much, I don't know, it hits so much cooler when he's trying to save people, as opposed to like the thing Zach likes about Superman is like, look how hard he can punch.
Yeah.
Like, and it's like and doesn't really, my problem with that movie isn't necessarily the mass like destruction or whatever. It's just like you don't really know who he is or what he stands for, because like he has one dad telling him to be one way and a different dad telling him to be another way, and just kind of does the thing his second dad tells him to do. Like, and
Right.
it's like, why did he act against the first dad in the first place? Like, why was he saving people? What in him made him want to help people who
Right.
aren't even related to him necessarily? Like, it's just, it becomes that confusing question of like, why is he good at all?
Right.
And that whole conversation about why Superman's good usually comes back to like his parents, but it's like that might not be the case with this one. Like, what made him like
Yeah, it's a little
want to
it's a little more confusing of like, why did he save that
It's
bus
very-
of,
yeah,
of
and so
kids
it's like,
other than like maybe
like, what are
well, my
his-
friends are in that bus or whatever, but then like he's
like what are his values?
yes, yeah, it's a little
You can't say what his values are because it's not clear, and so
Yeah.
it's like, and that's what I think this one does so well is he's like, I had this, it's all about that, is like, I had this set of values and I feel like, betrayed by what I thought was true, and like his dad is
Mhm.
just like, you don't have to do that. Like, it's
Right.
fine.
Yeah.
You can just be your own
Yeah.
person. Like, and it's and that, it's really great. I think it's a really great way to do that character, is because I think that, I don't know if have you seen, how many times have you seen the movie? Like once or twice,
I've
or?
just seen it once, and I saw a bunch of
Yeah.
reviews of it, so I've heard a
Yeah.
lot of the plot points
It's a
repeated.
moment
But
that happens really fast. Does he, when he's going to the planet and he picks up the phone, does he have like 22 missed calls or something like that?
I don't remember.
Yeah, no, it happens really fast. This is the
Okay.
thing about this movie as well, is
Right.
that it's very dense with a lot of
Yeah.
detail, and it's like, oh, I missed stuff, but it's like, you don't care about that in Christopher Nolan movies. Like, why is this like? Is it
Oh
just because
yeah,
this is
Nolan movies
Superman that
have
like?
so many characters and so many
Yeah,
so many like cutting back and forth between stuff
yeah.
and stuff told
So
out
that's
of
the thing, is that
order.
there's
Yeah.
any anything leveled against this movie, you
Mhm.
can just put against a movie that's beloved, and it doesn't work in the same way. Like, it's like, if you don't,
Yeah.
you can't have it both ways. Like,
Yeah, and I think, well, yeah, and another thing is, like, I think that, like, what you were talking about how, like, in the first scene when he calls for crypto and then he gets brought back to the fortress, they like quickly
yeah,
establish a lot of the big points about what Superman is and how his powers work. Oh, he can
yes,
get beat up, like, and what his strength level is at. Like, oh, he can get beat
yeah,
up, but this is the first time he's like really got beat up bad. But
yeah.
he gets his powers from the sun, and the sun can heal him, which comes back later. Like, we're
Yeah, and
setting up the robots.
his
The
parents
robots,
told him to go
yeah,
help people, and so he's
yeah, he
like,
watched the
that's like
message.
it's
They,
like his hype up song,
yeah,
pretty
yeah,
much.
yeah, it's like
Everyone
you
has,
put on
it's like
a
his wrestling
song.
hype up.
Yeah, yeah, or like you put on a song you like when you're working out to like hype you up or whatever. Yeah, it's like
Yeah,
that
so that's like
basically.
that's kind of how I see it. Is like,
Yeah.
it's his hype up song, but like, I'm wondering if I might be reading way too far into this. But the thing about the missed calls is, like, I wonder if it's like, he's like, oh, those are
Right.
just like my old boring parents or whatever. I want to identify with like the cool alien side of myself.
Okay,
Like,
like
I want to identify with that, and he's trying to like,
when he
when he finally picks up,
calls
I think he's missed calls
from
from his parents.
from his parents. Okay,
Yeah,
and that's why
those
he
are just
calls
like my
them, because
old.
he's like, oh, I gotta at least check in.
Yeah, and then
Yeah,
they're like
okay.
just proud of him.
Yeah, yeah, they're like,
Because
oh, we
it's
love
something
you.
Clark did, even,
Yeah,
which is funny,
yeah.
And so, yeah, like, and so I just think that that's kind of part of the arc of the movie as well, is him just kind of learning to, I guess, identify more with the people who actually raised him, and like seeing the value in that, obviously from like the home videos at the end or whatever, which is,
Yeah,
I thought was really great.
yeah.
You know, and so, like, yeah, I think that's kind of what they're going for with that, but it's cool because it creates like an arc for the character and an identity crisis in this character that we usually doesn't have to, I guess, face that, but not in like a confusing Man of Steel way, where it's just like, well,
Yeah,
what did
or I'm not even entirely sure where
what
he
did I learn
lands in
from
Man of
what
Steel.
did I learn from this journey? What are you trying
Yeah.
to say about anything?
Yeah,
That's my main issue with it, I think. Like,
yeah.
it's, and so, yeah, I think I just really like that whole exploration or whatever for that, for
Yeah.
him, and kind of gives him that.
For sure. Yeah, yeah. Like. Sorry, I don't want to to like rag on Man of Steel too much, but part of the reason I think
No, yeah.
the like the neck snapping scene at the end doesn't really work is because it's all built around like Zod being like, oh, I'm gonna kill this one family if you don't snap my neck, and it's like,
Yeah.
dude, you just smashed like hundreds of buildings. Why
Yeah.
is this one family like, I don't know why Clark suddenly cares about this one family.
Oh, yeah.
Enough to
We
sacrifice
can
his
see them,
morals
I
of
guess.
not killing, which like we didn't even really
Yeah.
establish that he had that as a moral.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like, it's like, huh?
So it doesn't really like work on that level either, of because it's not really well established like that this is a tough choice for him.
Right.
Oh, no.
Right, yeah.
Anyways, but yeah, I really liked Superman. One of the things that I do think is very interesting about it is it's kind of one of the first times, at least that I can think of doing the thing that happens in the comics all the time, where every few years where they like reboot the universe, and like some of the stuff is the same, but then a bunch of it is new, and this is a new jumping on point. But the characters do have some history, but don't worry about that because we're
Right.
telling a new story now.
Is it kind of like New 52 or
Yeah, like New
Rebirth or like
52 did that. Well, like New 52 was like, it's a new beginning where you can start right
yeah
here. Batman has 4 Robins, and you're like, okay, so he has like a whole history of stuff that already happened, and they're like, yeah,
yeah
don't worry about it though. Just we're moving forward.
yeah no, so it's very comic booky,
Yes,
honestly, which is so
exactly.
fun. I think it's really fun though that it's
No,
not like it's so far I'm so glad we're like at a point in a culture with comic book movies where it's like they're not embarrassed to be comic book movies.
yes,
Like
that was a
I think
huge
that
thing that I loved about it, and that because that was another thing with like DC that because the Green Lantern movie was not good, they were so
yeah
afraid of doing Green Lantern in any capacity. And then James Gunn's like,
really
well, like he never showed up in any of the Justice League movies, and we got like 2 or 3 of
that's
them.
true.
And
But that
then
has nothing to do with like that's really funny though, just
he's
because
one of the main
that one
Justice
movie.
League guys, and he never showed up in
Yeah,
any of the Snyderverse movies. And
yeah,
then they like teased that maybe he would show up in the Arrowverse, but then he never did. And
right.
then James Gunn's like, "Fuck you! Here's Guy Gardner, and we're not even gonna do his origin or anything." And it's great. I love that. I love that they're just like, "Yeah, he's one of the main heroes in this
Yeah,
world, and so we're gonna put him in the
yeah,
movie."
yeah. No, and yeah, and Mr. Terrific is great.
Yeah,
There's
he was
there's lots
great.
of he's a very much a standout. And I like that his thing is almost just that like I don't even see him as someone who like has like a really strong moral code. He's just like very smart, and he's like, objectively speaking, everyone dying is bad, so I'm gonna
Yes.
go fix that.
Yeah,
Like it's
yeah,
like
yeah.
he's
He's
just like
like,
he's so over everyone and
yes,
everything.
it's great.
He
He's
doesn't
like,
really care who you are, hero or villain. He's just like, we just gotta like stop things from killing people. Like,
mhm.
you
Yeah,
know,
like his main,
everyone dying is a bad thing. Like,
mhm. Yeah, his main qualm with like Luther is just like, you shouldn't be making pocket universes. You realize how unstable that technology is, and
yeah.
it's so easy to
And so
create a
it's like,
black
yeah,
hole. And yeah, of course,
yeah.
it made a black hole, just exactly what I
Yeah.
fucking said would happen.
Yeah, it's like Luther is
Yeah.
like he's almost as smart. I'd say he's as smart as Mr. Terrific, but with like none of the reverence or
Yes.
wisdom that he has
Yeah,
for
he
like
doesn't have
knowledge
it.
or power.
He doesn't care. He's like so
Yeah.
he's far more arrogant, and so he doesn't like care about
Yes,
the
and that's what his
implications
main.
of what
Yeah,
could happen if I make
yeah,
whatever weird science experiment. I don't care
yeah.
if there are
It's cool
consequences.
because I see like you can kind of see that like his arrogance was his ultimately his undoing in so many ways, where like he trusts in his like he doesn't believe in metamorpho. He's like, oh, I've got this guy locked down, like he's not gonna like turn on me.
Right.
He doesn't think that he can find a way out of that and help Superman. He doesn't think that's the thing that's gonna happen. He doesn't consider crypto as a threat.
Mhm.
And those are the two main things that become his undoing ultimately. He
Yeah.
doesn't see the Justice Gang as a threat. He doesn't think they're going to help with the conflict. So all these things that happen that end up making him lose are things that he doesn't consider, because not because they couldn't happen, but because he's like, they shouldn't. He's like, these are people who are apathetic and don't care. And
Mhm.
it's Superman's hope that inspires all these things to happen,
Yeah, I
throughout this movie, to make all these people good and make them want to do good things.
I don't understand why someone would just do something good without anything to gain for themselves
Yeah.
necessarily.
Yeah, and so I think I think it leaves for a lot of really cool like sequel directions. Like I love, I
Mhm.
wonder like what they could do. I want to see a Lex Luthor getting buff in prison arc, and then he would have a rematch with Superman where he has like his power suit or whatever, because he's like it's almost putting together the like two sides where he's like, I'm telling Ultraman what to do. He's like, well, maybe I should have just been doing it myself.
Right,
Maybe
yeah.
I can be
Yeah,
the Ultraman
my
and get my.
my problem was that I was relying on someone else. That's where I
Yeah.
went wrong. And
Yeah.
like
Exactly, right, and that fits
yeah.
with his arrogance, right? Like
Mhm.
it's just like I think you could take that in an interesting direction, like have him find out who Clark Kent is. He doesn't know who Clark Kent is. You
Mhm.
can have, with sequels, you can actually go kill one or more of Superman's parents, and that'll leave an impact on us because of how we've gotten to know them in this movie.
Mhm.
It's not just
Yeah,
like
see, now it'll be more
backstory, like in
sad
the
if they
first.
kill
Yeah,
Paquette because we
yeah,
like him now.
yeah. Oh, and another thing I really like about this movie, and it's like, I don't know if this is a hot take, because like people always talk about the original 78 Superman movie. I've never really identified with that movie very strongly.
I like
don't
it.
love it, I'm gonna say, because like I think as far as doing the character of Superman, it's like it never turned me on to that character because I don't know who he is.
Oh,
Like the
I
most
just
interesting parts for me are the parts where he's younger, and that's why I love Smallville. Like it's like the parts that are just scenes from Smallville are my favorite parts of that movie, because the rest of it, it's like he's Superman, which is a persona, or he's Clark Kent, which is also a persona. So I don't know who he is or what he wants.
I think
I can't read him.
I think that's what is fun about that movie is
Right.
Reeves's performance and the way he like flip
Oh,
flops
he's so
between the
fun
two.
with it. Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
he's having so much fun with the role, and he does.
Yeah.
And like I think you do see who he is in the like brief moments when he like switches a couple times, and it's like he's
Yeah.
both. That's the thing, is that he is
Yeah.
both Clark and Superman. They're both aspects of his personality, and
Right.
it depends on like the whole I rewatched the scene where he's like interviewing with Lois on the
Yeah.
roof. What it fucking rules. Rewatch that scene. It's so good.
Okay.
Just like every
Yeah.
line is great. The way he's like kind of like confidently flirting with her, but then and she's like kind of way into him too. But he's like very, very like proper and like coy. Like the one of the best lines is she's like, "Do you have like a girlfriend or anything?" And he's like, no, but if I ever did, you'd be the first to know about it." And I'm like, oh, that's such a fucking good line. It's great. I love that movie. I do think it has some problems, like the him going around the world at the end. I don't know if that
Yeah.
makes a lot of sense
Yeah.
or really
Yeah.
supports the
Well,
themes
isn't
that it
it
was kind of
that
setting up.
I think the theory might be just that he can travel through time, and that's what it looks like from his perspective.
Like that's how I like to choose to interpret it. But I think it also is like weird.
But then he doesn't run into a second version of himself. Like
Yeah, like there's
he doesn't
no
run into past
like
Clark.
consequences for that, and there's no like
Yeah. No, it's true. Yeah.
he
there's
just
no,
solves it. He just solves it because Superman, because he's
Yeah.
Superman, and
Because when they do that exact thing on Smallville, and it's the thing that leads to the death of Jonathan Kent.
Right,
Like, it's
yeah, yeah.
They're like, oh, you have a chance to go back in time and save her, but someone else will die,
Right.
and like there's different chances where other characters can die throughout the episode. It's so well done that episode.
yeah,
It's
and like
huge. Yeah.
yeah, so like then there's I don't think it's perfect, but I think Christopher Reeve's performance is so good that
Right.
it works for me. I don't know. I like it. And it has a lot of like the little scenes of Superman like saving a cat from a tree and like that kind of stuff where he's just doing stuff that because he can. It's not like, and that's I think where we like get to know him is in those little moments.
Oh, like he saves a squirrel in this.
Yeah,
That's
which
like
I love
been
as
talked
well.
about. It's like, yeah, and the bit where lots of creative uses of like super breath as well. Like,
yeah,
where he like blows the dog
out of the way and things like that. Yeah,
and then he tunnels underground too. It's like really cool stuff.
Yeah.
The effects in this either looked real and incredible or so stylized it didn't matter. Like,
yeah,
it's
or like what we're
Gunn
looking
has,
at is so crazy that it doesn't
Yeah.
matter if it's
I think
looks
Gunn has really
realistic.
mastered that with like the Suicide Squad and Guardians. Like his movies, the thing either looks real or it's so fantastical that it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like it's like,
but it looks cool. So
it looks really cool and like just great and fits with the palette of the movie. Like it's like whatever cool, interesting thing you're seeing fits with this movie and this world. Like, it's I think really incredible special effects work. Honestly,
Yeah.
like
There was a thing that I really liked that it did, where
wait, sorry. One thing about that, I just had a comparison. You're gonna think this is hilarious.
Yeah.
I think that this new Superman, the like effects in this new Superman are like versus Man of Steel are like the graphics in the newest Smash Brothers versus Brawl.
So wait. Oh, like Brawl
Well,
being Man of Steel.
Everything.
Yeah, where it's like let's just throw more detail and
Just
dirt on everything.
More dirt, more gray,
even though it's not
more steel mud.
really high resolution. But
Yeah,
in
so
like the newer
exactly.
one, they're like not necessarily going for full realism, but it is very flashy and aesthetically and colorful, which is kind of more in line with
and very real looking a lot of the time too. Sorry, what were you gonna say?
Oh, this is just a random thing that I liked, but there's the sequence at the end fight where Superman's fighting Ultraman, and Lex has those little camera drones flying around them so that he can watch the fight. And at first, like, I didn't clue in that that's what that was. And it like cuts back to Lex watching the movie on the screen, and I'm like, how is he watching this? And then it cuts back to Superman, and there's literally camera drones flying around. I'm like, oh, they thought about how he's watching this. That's so great, because that's a trope that they do all the time, where someone's like watching security footage, but the security footage is just like the film of like an episode that you saw 2 episodes ago. Like it's just it's like there was no way there was a camera there. But in this one,
that's a really common thing in movies.
So that's like a trope that I like think of all the time. But in this one, they had it. Not only did they have an explanation,
go back and watch it, because it's in the it's all their cameras are also there in like the Hammer of Baravia.
Yeah, they're in the earlier thing too, and that's the thing is that it's also
there's probably shots right from those cameras.
Yeah, and they are, and that's the idea.
It's like,
and they're like, so not only
is it like diegetic cameras? Like, is that like the term for it? Maybe.
Yeah, I guess diegetic camera would be the probably the term. But it not only did they think about it, so they put those in there, but two, it's a plot point as well, because then Crypto smashes all the cameras, and then Lex can't see what's happening, and then Superman wins the fight. So it's like, I'm like, oh, so it's even smarter than I thought it was, which is just like, oh, we should probably, like, it wasn't a last minute, like, oh, maybe let's just CGI some cameras in so that we know how Lex is like watching this. It's like, no, this is a specific plot point in the movie, and Superman is gonna pick up on it and use it as an advantage to win the fight. And I'm like, that's great. They reversed, not only reversed a trope that annoys me, but they managed to use it as a plot point as well. That's very clever.
Good work. No, him, like, I like everything with the end fight, where it's these like very comic booky, like, where you have to like, I guess video games kind of adapted this a lot as well, where it's like you have to like figure out the trick to like solve the boss fight or whatever.
Right. It's more of a puzzle.
You know, it's like that's very much a Spider-Man thing, or like a Batman thing, or like, it's just like it feels so superhero, where it's like you have to like solve the puzzle of how to beat the villain, as opposed to like punch them hard enough.
Gotta punch them harder. Yeah. I like that.
Punch them harder, or like break their neck or whatever. We're always gonna rag on that, but like, because that's one thing that really bugs me about like The Dark Knight Rises, is that, like, you know, he fights Bane and he gets beat up and he gets his back broken, and then he, like, you know, maybe gets back to full strength. I don't know what kind of nutrition he's getting in that hole in the ground. And then he gets all the way back to Gotham, and his solution is just punch him harder.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't learn anything, like, because he finds some inner peace or something, he's able to punch harder.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't, like...
Well, you see, once we fall, we learn to pick ourselves back up, and he picked himself back up.
It's not spoken, though, that he's like, oh, I just need to, like, go after his weak point of his breathing apparatus.
No, and it's not even like I think that happens during the fight, but I think it's like coincidental. Like, 'cause he's just punching him, and it happens to like damage his breathing thing, and then he's like, I guess that
like coincidence, like it was thought about.
Yeah, it's not like, oh, I gotta. It's not like him thinking like, oh, that thing on his face probably is helping him breathe. I should attack that. He just like is punching him, and then like happens to break it, and then wins the fight.
Yeah, so it's like, I think I like it when it looks like there's like, you know, there's actual like thought into how to defeat the villain, you know, like it's like in the physical villain, you know, in that sense. Like, it's like there's a little more the hero has to like outsmart the villain, or like the Scott Pilgrim thing where he has to like outsmart, you know, which is also Brandon Routh Superman, which is funny. But like, you know, it's like he has to outsmart the ones who are way physically stronger than him, you know, like he's got you gotta like figure it out.
You gotta turn the thing that is an advantage into a disadvantage.
Yeah, no, it's cool, and so I can see them doing a lot with sequels as well. I'm excited to see more of this world, and like I'd love to explore that idea of. And I'm thinking about it because they're on season 7 of Smallville on Talkville right now.
Oh, wow.
That's the one with Supergirl.
Yeah.
And so there's some moments where like Clark is kind of being more like the mentor to her, and I think that's a great like thing to do, where maybe she like, you know, is mad at him and flies away, and he like or like you could have there be like a flashback where, I know I talked about flashbacks and I hate them, but I think in this context it could work, where you have a flashback with him as a teenager, but to a point of a story where he's like, maybe he's like mad at his parents for some reason, or like, some kid makes fun of him, and Lana doesn't want to go on a date with him, and he's all angry, and he gets his Mighty Crab Joyce poster and he puts it up in his room. And, like, it could be like the day he does that, because that's like a thing we know. And then he's like mad at his like parents, and he like super blows the door shut or whatever. And then we cut to like Supergirl storming out on him, and then he calls up his parents. He's like, "What do I do? Like, how did you deal with me? Like, you guys didn't even have powers. This is hard." Like, you know. And so I think that could be a really cool relationship to explore, like where like she has all this angst because in her mind she's older than him, and like she knows way more about their culture. Like she's going through these things that he literally doesn't understand, and that's such a classic. Like, yo, you don't understand me, mom and dad. It's like, yeah, I don't, but I just want to help you, you know. And like he's so good and innocent that like that I think that him trying to connect with someone who has been through something more intense and mature is like a really cool idea. And so I like that dynamic they've set up, and I really hope they go more with it, because I know the setup here was a little bit comedic, but like James Gunn does really great with like all those like kind of intense character issues and people with abuse and trauma and all of that. He does so well, you know. And if this universe is going to be what he says it is, where things are going to be totally different between movies, then you can explore those things under that lens with that, you know, care that it deserves. It doesn't have to be jokey and funny all the time. So like I'm very excited for that, not being limited by, you know, it's not like I guess it's like, you know, it's great too, because it's trying to be different from Marvel. I think Marvel was really good for everything it had until about Endgame, and then after that it's like, why are we still here? Like, what are we doing? You know. And it just feels, I think all the flaws are becoming more apparent because it's not going anywhere. Where before it's like you kind of expected there to be, you know, the Marvel jokes and like, you know, that kind of humor and stuff, but it's like I was there for it and I liked it, you know. But now because there was that greater story as well, they always did the main character very well. The main character was always handled very well. Even if the story wasn't great or the villain wasn't great, the main character was always really great. I think in a lot of Marvel things, you know, for the most part, I would say. Yeah, that's the one thing they do quite well. And so it was cool to have them into those ensemble pieces, you know, where it's like I like all of these people and this is working. And so I just hope that, you know, I think James Gunn's universe will work for a different reason, you know. But anyways,
because that's the other thing that is interesting too, is they're not like, I think we'll get a Justice League at some point, assuming they keep making these and they keep being successful. But they haven't been like, and we're building to Justice League. Like they're not like concerned about that. But in a way that doesn't bother me, like with Marvel, where I'm like, where is any of this going? And they're like, we're not sure. Yeah. Doom, I guess. But with this, it's more like we're just interested in these characters and telling different stories with the characters that we find interesting. And I'm like, that's way more compelling to me than just like, oh, well, we got to set up this character because they're one of the ones that Sony doesn't own. So
no, like one of the projects is like apparently like they greenlighted a Clayface movie. Like, the script was incredible. I had to greenlight it. And I'm like, that's
a good reason. That's a good reason to greenlight something.
It sounds like it's based on that whole. It must be the who's the guy who worked on Batman the Animated Series that created everything great.
Paul Dini and Bruce Timm.
Paul Dini.
Paul Dini did a lot
Paul
of the
Dini. I think he probably. Episodes. I don't know if Paul Dini did the Clayface episode of that, but it sounds like
he might have. Yeah.
The Clayface movie is based on a lot of the stuff from that. I don't know if that was the first time that story was told, but it sounds like it's based on that whole like kind of acting.
Yeah, which is a great episode.
It's a really great, really interesting, like you know, story, and like, you know, a lot of I've seen anything I've seen like bits and pieces of the animated series, but like a lot of the stuff with the villains is handled so interestingly and so well.
They're a big part of why that show is great.
This universe, and I don't think they'll roll like Matt Reeves' universe into this. It seems like it's kind of.
It seems like they're not like. I feel like they could, if they wanted to.
They could if they wanted,
But I think they don't want to.
I think it might be best not to.
Which is fair enough. Like, and maybe that's it. Is they're like, you know what, we got Batman working, and it's working over here. And we're just gonna let Matt Reeves do his thing.
Let it be its own thing for a while. I think that's okay.
And not like ruin it. And you know what? That's fair.
Yeah.
That's I'm okay with that because I liked the Matt Reeves Batman. It was really good.
Yeah, I think there's another one. Is another one coming up this year or next year? I think there's
It's
another.
not. It's not for a while. I don't know when it is, but like
Really?
it keeps getting. It might be next year, but it keeps. I feel like
But there's no more COVID.
they're taking their sweet ass
Why?
time with it. 2027 is its current release date.
Seriously? Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Which is
That
like,
first one, yeah, I think it's quite good. That first one, like I obviously have some issues with it, but it's like, nah, it was a real movie. Like
Yeah.
they had like really interesting aesthetic choices and production design, and like an actual character arc for Batman, which just hasn't happened yet.
yeah, yeah, and also like making him
The
kind of.
movie is about Batman.
The movie's actually about Batman doing Batman stuff for the whole movie. What?
Yeah, he's like, yeah, in all the interviews, Matt Reeves is like, well, I was reading Batman comics and I found out that he was a detective, so I made this a detective story.
I made a detective
Like,
story.
yes, just do
Yeah.
that.
Oh, we cracked it.
Oh. Anyways, yeah, no, I think this with the state of a lot of movies and stuff, it's like, yeah, like I kind of had like this might say how I'm feeling right now, which is that I had like basically a chance to like go see a movie in theaters, and I probably could have seen Fantastic Four easily, but I really wanted to see Superman because at this point I'm like, what am I here for? Like it's like maybe I was probably still watch it at some point, but it's like I'm way more interested in this new thing as opposed to this like dead horse that we're somehow acting like is still alive. Like
yeah, I think. Yeah, I think Marvel probably should have rebooted at Endgame to keep things interesting.
yeah,
Or had
yeah,
a plan. Would have been nice
had a
too.
plan, yeah.
Because then
Yeah.
that was also part of
They
it.
didn't, yeah. Apparently, I just learned today that, like, I think I kind of knew this a little bit, but, like, they kind of didn't have the, like, Infinity Gauntlet story solidified until, like, they were working on Guardians. They were like,
Yeah.
okay, we kind of have an idea for this thing. Now, can you write a scene, James, where, like, they explain what the Infinity Stones are for this, like, and he's like, yeah, sure. And apparently James wrote the scene in like 3 minutes or something like that.
That sounds
because
right.
he's just an incredible writer, which makes sense. And I thought this is interesting too, is that he originally had the Power Stone was originally going to be red, but then they retconned that.
The earlier one was red,
and so they changed it to purple by the time they were in post production.
That's funny. I think the Power Stone in comics is red because they're all different colors.
Yeah. But then they're like, we need to, like, they were starting like, okay, like we have enough like relics that we've come up with that we can retcon these into becoming stones, so that way like we don't have to work harder. Why would we do that? And it's like that's a good idea.
It's actually it's actually kind of
natural.
Brilliant. Like it
felt great when I was watching it, and I knew that part of me knew that it was a retcon, but I'm like, this is cool though. I'm okay with this.
Like, I actually kind of think the like Infinity Stones, we gotta gather them all. Every MacGuffin from the last 4 movies is secretly a Infinity Stone. Is a kind of
secretly part of a bigger MacGuffin.
Yeah, is actually like kind of a genius level plot constructive device. From especially when you're making like several different movies that are all supposed to be interconnected, and you have to make it feel like they're building to something. To literally just be like, oh yeah, that red tornado thing from the Thor movie that wasn't that good. Actually, it's going to be important in like 3 movies from now, and that's kind of genius. So even like it's like so then it's like, oh, so I didn't waste my time watching that Thor movie. Got it. Like it's actually like I think it's actually kind of brilliant, and I don't know like what other way to do a system like that. Other than like actually coordinating properly and being like, this is the thing, and we have to like reference this thing that's going to be important later in each movie, and we have to know what that is, and it's got to like
like I wonder if they'll do Darkseid eventually with this.
Like I could definitely I could see that happening, but I feel like James Gunn will be like, nah, Darkseid's too mainstream. Let's think of a more obscure, weird villain to be like the main villain for whatever the big Justice League type event is.
Like it'll be like Mr. Mixel.
Yeah, or something. Yeah.
Because he's got a crazy power set too. Like he could be very overpowered if you wanted him to be. You know, his power set is kind of like whatever the writer feels like.
Exactly. He's from the fifth dimension or whatever, so he can do whatever we say.
Yeah. No, but I mean, I want to see this version of Superman do that bit from Justice League where he's fighting Darkseid and he's like, I've got a interesting opportunity here where I can really let loose, and it's like I think that I live in a world of cardboard. Like, seeing that Superman like lose it like that, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is actually so peak. Like this is so... That's like one of my favorite bits in like all of animated Superman. Like it's so cool because it's like the Man of Steel fight, but like it's so earned though, and
it feels more earned. Yeah, that's a cool moment.
And you're like this. You're like, wait, what? He's been holding back.
He's been holding back this whole time.
This is crazy. And and you actually feel it. Like he punches him through like a million, probably evacuated buildings, and then his super speeds over to where he's gonna land in the air and just punches him into the. It's great. Yeah, you're gonna cut to this footage right now.
I'll put the clip in.
Please don't demonetize this.
It's incredible. It's a great
It's a really good
final season anime fight.
It's such a good fight. Yeah. But anyways, it's like I would love to see this version of Superman like, you know, in that situation. Like it feels like such a like classic version of this character, and one that's so easy to like identify with, because like I was saying before, where it's like I don't know, it's like this one feels like a persona and this feels like a persona. It's like he spends a lot of the movie in that area where he's like Superman, but he's with people who kind of knows who he is, and so he's more vulnerable. Like he just feels like a guy. Like he doesn't, you know, he feels like a guy with real issues. Like he doesn't like there's very little masking going on, you know. And even as Clark, it's like kind of slipping a bit, where he's like, oh, I heard that he didn't like completely get his bum up. Like he did pretty good at that fight. Like,
have you seen?
He's like trying to save face. He's like, I don't know what you're talking about. He's like, he did a good job. Like, you can see it kind of coming through, but he's trying so hard. Like, it's so funny.
Have you seen the meme of it's the Obama giving himself the medal meme, but it's Clark giving Superman a medal? Where he's just like glazing himself up whenever he reports about Superman. Oh, Superman is awesome and he saved everyone by Clark Kent.
That's really funny too. I like that concept where it's like, you know, the only person who's gotten an interview with Superman so far is Clark Kent.
Yeah. And Lois is like, interesting. Well, I loved Lois
like his
as
stupid
well.
Hypnotizing glasses. Like, it's just like one line, and it's like, oh, like you get it in that moment that like you actually that he legitimately has hypnotizing glasses that he wears to keep his identity secret that work. Like it's a real thing. It's one throwaway line. It's so funny. Here's the thing about the glasses thing is everyone rags on it, and I think it's fine. The main thing I think is that, like, I think they found the perfect balance in this movie, where it's like the main thing I think that would be most people don't know who Clark Kent is just because they haven't met him. So if they happen to meet Superman, they're not going to be like, oh, of course you're Clark Kent. You're some guy who works at a paper that I've maybe read or not, right? So that doesn't bother me at all. But like Lois Lane, who's met both Clark and Superman, she should figure it out. And like in this movie, she either did or he told her. So that's I think the perfect balance is like, because she's met them both up close. She should clue in. No, everything, their whole dynamic is done so well. Every scene with them together is like incredible, and they nailed it. Like that's like, I think all this stuff, there's definitely like, you know, there might be some issues here and there with the movie, but like I honestly like everything in the movie, and like the stuff that you're supposed to do right in a movie, it does right. Like it does everything really well that it's supposed to do well. You know? Yeah,
for sure. And like I was impressed as well about like how much how tight the script actually is with how much is going on. And like, oh no, everything does have like an explanation and a reason for being there.
And everything kind of ties together
by the end, and there's setup and payoffs, like I was talking about with the with the cameras flying around, and
Yeah,
Crypto as
everyone
well,
gets a
because
thing to
earlier
do.
in the movie, Crypto like goes after Terrific's like T-spheres, and then Clark remembers that, and then he gets Crypto to
Yeah,
fly after the drone cameras, and then that's how he
yeah,
wins. So like there's lots of little things like that that are just like, oh, they thought about it. That's I love it when a good screenwriter is writing a movie. It makes me happy.
yeah. And I loved it. And I'm excited to watch it again, just to see those things,
Hmm.
again, come to light, those different setups and payoffs and things that were done quite well.
Yeah. Have you seen any of Peacemaker? I'm just curious.
No, I haven't.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's kind of going into more of the like continuity stuff, which is like
Okay.
I don't know. I find it very fascinating because like they're bringing up stuff from James Gunn's Suicide Squad movie that happened, and that and it's like, oh, now that plot point is relevant again because of X, Y, and
Yeah.
Z. Um,
And so is that the only one that's still part of this universe, is the Suicide Squad?
yeah, but it's like weird, right? Because the Suicide Squad is still is kind of a sequel to Suicide Squad, right?
It's also kind of a reboot, though. You don't
Yeah,
need the
but
other one to understand it.
no, not necessarily. But it does have a few characters that carry over. Amanda
Yeah.
Waller's still there, etc. So like that's the thing that I think is like kind of interesting. You might have heard about this. Can I give you one spoiler that has been all over the internet?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
So at the end of the first season of Peacemaker,
Is it the bit with the Justice League?
yeah.
I've seen
So
this.
the Justice League show up, and they're like too late. Like Peacemaker's already saved the day, and he calls them jerks or whatever. And then in the like previously on of season 2, that like recaps the first season. Instead, it's the Justice Gang that shows up, and like Green Lantern is there, and Hawkgirl is there, and so I'm like, that's such a clever way to like reboot, like to retcon everything, is be like, actually it was these other guys that were there, and where everything still happened the same, except that some of the the other characters are different.
Yeah.
And
you can always, because it's a comic book thing, you can always touch on like multiple realities and stuff like that.
Yeah, like that's, I
Mandela
assume,
effect and
that's, sure, that could be that can be your headcanon or whatever, that like there are parallel running worlds, and the James Gunn world was like some of the events from the James Gunn world line up with the Snyder world, and then it goes off on its own thing. So again, that's a very comic book thing of like, oh, we're rebooting stuff, and this previous, like, oh, we're going to quickly reference stuff that happened in an earlier comic, but it happened slightly different than you remember it, but don't worry about it, and we're moving on now. And I think it's kind of fun that it's like being so fast and loose with continuity, but also isn't. That's the thing that I think that I'm like finding intriguing about Peacemaker, is that it still is like he has a continuing arc from that starts in the Suicide Squad and keeps going through to the second season now, but it's also like maybe it's in a different universe now or whatever.
And it's all written by James Gunn.
Yeah, and it's all written by him, so
oh my gosh, he's just pumping out those
yeah
scripts,
it's like crazy,
nobody's business.
And that's, and he's one of those writers who likes to just write a lot of stuff, and I appreciate that, because then we get more stuff.
It's cool. I think it's cool. I think it's cool when you put a writer in charge.
Yeah. What? Putting a writer in charge of writing your connected universe is more interesting.
Yeah.
Makes it better.
Anyways, I think I have to get going, but my last note is that I think it's funny that James Gunn's hair looks like the Fortress of Solitude, and that's where I will leave it. It's like I'm writing Superman now, so this is the look.
This is how it looks now.
Yes.
That's a great note. Yes, well, thank you for chatting.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me on the show.
Oh, of course, anytime. Let us know what you thought about Superman and continuity, and
Is it good?
is it
Is it
good?
bad?
Leave a comment. Go watch our other episode about Mission Impossible. Bye bye.